May 11th, 2017. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 126 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
Well, we did okay with the Kentucky Derby, huh?
Oh, yeah. I don't know how that happened, but we seem to do good.
Well, here's what happened, okay? Actually, Eric contacted us and asked us, who we wanted to bet on. I said, well, I'm going to confer with Dr. Mike. So I asked you, and you said, well, whatever. You just let me pick.
Right.
So
I hadn't studied it at all, so I really had no idea.
So since I picked, see, when you pick things, they always lose. You've got that reputation,
okay.
right? So I actually picked Always Dreaming, and that's where we had most of our money on, and so we did okay. It's funny, we actually didn't hit any of our exotic bets, so like a trifecta or anything like that. But we did that was like our anchor horse, Always Dreaming. So we did okay on that.
Did we bet on Always Dreaming in previous races?
Yes.
I know we did. And I know there was a couple other horses in that race that we made money on in previous races.
That's right. We've been betting on all the Kentucky Derby prep races leading up to this. And that was actually the reason that I picked him was because we had won on a previous race with him. Right. So, yeah, that was definitely it. We did put a little bit of money on Classic Empire, because Dr. Taylor and Al from San Diego picked him. Right. They were like guaranteeing that was going to win.
Well,
so I thought,
we actually won money on him before too. I believe,
yes,
on other
right,
races,
right.
So.
But unfortunately, he didn't finish in the money in the Kentucky Derby, so we put a little hedge on him just in case.
Well, the rain might have had a little bit to do with that.
Could have had something to do with it.
Pretty muddy field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. And Irish War Cry has some pedigree
for mudding.
Yes. So some people were thinking, he's going to do well in the mud.
Right.
But so I was even thinking, we got no money on that.
They always say that about mudders. Oh, this horse likes the mud and they do well in bad weather. I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, sure.
I mean, maybe there's a little bit of truth to that, but when it's muddy, like anything can happen.
Well,
right?
I agree, but I think there's more than a little bit of truth to it.
I don't. Seriously, I've always thought that, because let's say you're in second and some mud flies up and hits your face, the horse's face or eye or something. Okay. That's got to throw him off, right?
Well, sure.
I mean, even if you like the mud, getting mud in your eye.
Well, maybe that's what they like, mud in their eye.
I mean,
right?
I know when I'm at a craps table and all of a sudden there's mud in my eye.
You don't do as well.
No, I can't make any hard way bets.
Yeah,
I'm not a mudder.
You're not a mudder.
I need good weather at the craps table.
All I'm saying is, I would hardly say you're a horse racing expert.
Oh, well, yeah. So I'll agree with that.
All right. Well, I'll leave this to the experts. But
I'm just saying that, in my opinion, I just can't see how that makes that big a difference.
Okay. All right. Send your emails. I'll read them, but I'm going to forward them directly to Dr. Mike. All right. So on our last episode, we talked about how I had been playing at a Pai Gow poker table with our friend Mary, and the dealer set his hand to a straight with like a king up top. And I called attention to it and said, hey, I think you're supposed to play a flush, knowing that was not actually the right move, but it was probably the house way.
Yeah.
And I only mentioned it to the dealer after he had started to collect bets, or at least after he had set his hand. So the guy to our left, he just assumed he had lost. Right. He saw what the dealer said it to, and he walked away.
You just wanted to screw him like, after he leaves, I'll...
Well, as it turns out, he would have pushed. Right. He did push.
He did push.
And so we were wondering, what happens to his money? And Mario, our friend Mario, was pit that night. And so we ran into him last week. We said, hey, Mario, remember that guy? Did he get his money back? And Mario said, oh, yeah, we got his money back. Mario was telling us how, this is exactly what you were saying, Mike.
Right.
The guy had his card, was playing with his player's card, and they're able to actually put notes, on the computer assigned to his account, like, he is due $40 or whatever on money. And so they were able to get his money back.
Yeah, so what Mario said, when he clocked in later at another table, when they put his card in it, they saw the note and they gave him the whatever money it was.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's wonderful that a casino does that.
Exactly, yes.
Right, because as far as the guy's concerned,
he doesn't
lost.
know. Yeah.
So, I mean, if they never said anything to him, he'd be, he wouldn't think anything of it or bear any ill will to the casino.
Right.
But think about it afterwards. If that was me, I would have been, oh, wow,
thanks. It's like, wow, it's like found money.
Yeah, I'm always coming to this casino.
Well, it's good news, and it's another reason why, always use your Players Club card when you can.
Sure.
Because maybe something like that'll happen.
Right. Even at say a casino you don't frequent.
Mm-hmm.
But I bet you they might go as far as to like send you a letter if
maybe a letter. Yeah, I don't think they'd send you a check or anything.
No.
They would probably wait until you came back to the casino. I think that's what would happen.
But after a time, they might send a letter saying, "Hey, last time you were here, you left $40. We owe it to you.
Yeah, maybe
come and get it
during some kind of audit or something." And,
right?
Yeah,
because they keep pretty accurate records if you've signed up for the Players Club. I mean, you've given your address, your birth date. Yep. They've got a lot of info on you.
Yeah, they do. Okay. Okay, well, a little news here. So Deadline.com is reporting that TNT has bought a new TV show called The Collector. And I'm just going to read from their article here. The Collector is the redemptive journey of a man who has to work as an indentured collections expert for an agency specializing in gambling debts in order to pay off his own debts.
An indentured servant. And I thought they were extinct.
No, it's when it comes to gambling, they're still out there.
Okay.
Yeah. So the show was written by Mark Cullen, who was the co-creator of the show Lucky, which was a sitcom about a gambler in Las Vegas that ran back in 2003. Did you ever see this show?
I never saw that.
It was kind of obscure. It was on FX, but it only ran for one season. I thought it was pretty good. Sherry and I watched it, and it was kind of funny. Yeah. So no word on when The Collector will premiere, but hopefully it'll hit the airwaves before too long. Back in, I guess it was October, not last year, but the year before, like October 2015, we mentioned that a drama was being developed for NBC called Casino, but I couldn't find anything new about it.
Yeah, it probably died.
It probably did, yeah. Anyway, watch for The Collector on TNT. So listener Chris tweeted us, do you think tipping the dealer will help your rating? And I tweeted back and said, well, it depends.
Right.
And we'll talk about it on the show.
Yeah, I don't, it's interesting. I want to say, yes, it does in some way help. It certainly doesn't hurt.
Sure, it doesn't hurt.
So, I mean, it's not like they're going to give you a worse rating because you tipped.
Right.
But it might help a little. I mean, in certain situations.
I'm thinking it's going to help if you're a regular at the casino.
Right.
If you're just in Vegas for the weekend and you're tipping, I don't think it's really going to matter.
No.
Because the pit boss doesn't really know you. And, does he always tip like this? And
he just wins some money at the baccarat table and he's over here now.
Even if he does tip, maybe there's a pit who doesn't matter to him.
Right.
They absolutely will not change your rating based on how you tip, which really, ethically, they shouldn't. But in reality, I think if you're a regular, it may help.
I think if you're a regular, it definitely would help. Because number one, you're tipping. And number two, if you're a regular and they know you and they're kind of friendly to you, they might give you a little better rating than they would. There's not a lot of leeway in that.
No, right. And
so,
it's not like they can just, they don't want to get caught, favoring somebody. But no,
they can't put down you're making $100 bets and you're making dollar bets.
Yeah, I think your answer is the best is that it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't hurt. And it's always a good idea to tip for many reasons. Number one, the dealers are working for tips.
Yeah, and sometimes basically. Minimum wage, sure.
So, and it's like, you go to a restaurant, the waiter, isn't making that much an hour. Yeah. They rely on those tips. Yep. So, if you're in a good enough situation that you can tip, you should.
Yeah.
Then also, it just creates good karma.
Yeah, sure. It's good karma. You want that karma to come back to you.
Yeah, you want a friendly atmosphere, right?
That's right. Well, for example, you tip quite a bit out at Harris, Southern California, and you always... Well, no, you lose quite a bit, actually, now that I think of it.
Well,
I don't think karma's working for you.
They can't change the cards. No, I'm just saying it. Karma with the dealers, they are always friendly to me.
They're super friendly to you. I'll give you that.
Have you ever noticed anyone not be friendly to me?
Oh, great. Another bet from Dr. Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, really. Another 1,000 in the box tonight. It is funny because some nights, I'll hit like a hard.
Oh yeah, if you're on the hard way for them,
like $25 or $50, and they'll easily drop over $1,000 for the night.
I know, and I'm watching him thinking, why don't you send a little of that my way? You're good podcast buddy.
I tried to.
Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link kind of at the top of the page. All right, let's move on to our voicemail hotline. Remember, call our hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. First up, our good buddy, Rue.
Well, hello there, Mike and Mark. It's Rue from Denton, Texas, calling in with just a little observation from my last trip to Las Vegas. I have tried to play craps many, many times and have never really had much success at it. And, listening to your show, it kind of got me thinking about giving it another try, and sure did, over at the El Cortez, the Fremont old folks home. And I actually did pretty well. Just doing the basic, sixes and eights and placing the come bets every now and then. Actually ended up a little favorable on that. Definitely didn't get my losses leveled out from the entire trip, but I did have a real good time playing. It's fun when you get on a little bit of a roll, pun intended, with craps. So hope you guys are doing well. Talk to you soon. Look forward to maybe seeing you guys out in El Cajon or San Diego maybe this summer. Take care. Bye.
Oh, nice. That'd be nice if they came out here. Yeah.
Yeah, come on out here.
Yeah, we'll show you all the spots.
Yeah.
Or at least the casino.
We'll get you a room at RainCon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll see all the whole Denton, Dallas, and Beyond crew at VIMP or whatever they're going to call it in October. We still don't have details other than the dates. So.
Well, I'm glad he won.
Yeah, me too.
Seriously, if you're not a real craps player, a real regular craps player, and you go and you just don't have good luck, it's like, do you want to go back?
Right. Oh, and it can go terribly. We've said many times about our friend Bill. We've tried to get him to play, and every time he sits down.
Every time. And he's always anxious to do it. Yeah. But then every time he tries it, it's like,
it's just awful.
Oh my
Doesn't
God,
win
Bill,
a single
this
bet.
is terrible. Yeah.
All right, let's hear from Marty. The first part of his call got cut off from some reason, but let's hear what he has to say.
Southern California. Just giving you a quick trip update on Reno. I get up there a couple times a year, usually for concerts of some kind. This last weekend, I was up and I saw Kiss at the Grand Sierra Resort. And first time I've actually ever been in that property. A couple of things I noticed. So 3 crap stables, $10 all day long, 3, 4, 5 times odds, really a good crew. The casino itself is gigantic. It's got to be 80,000 square feet. And just great crew, lots of restaurants. I would give it as good as any strip casino in Vegas. One thing that was kind of interesting is on the tables, the dice tables, $10 to $1,000 for bets, 3, 4, 5 times odds, and they actually have it spelled out in writing. First time I've ever seen this. Maximum payout $7,000 per number, which I guess if you bet 1,000 on the 4 and 10 and you buy it and 3,000 in odds, it'd be a $7,000 payout. So anyway, interesting to see that. Just arrived in London, England, and I'm going to head over to the Hippodrome, which is a casino here that also has dice. So I will give you a call back on Friday or Saturday to let you know how that goes. London's got a bunch of casinos, all right around the Piccadilly Circus area. Most are really card clubs and video kind of clubs, not the traditional video poker that we see in the U.S., but just video, like video roulette, a lot of that kind of stuff. Most of the places here have, again, it's poker, it's Punto Blanco, which is, Baccarat, and a lot of roulette, single zero roulette. Anyway, haven't played craps in London for quite a few years. I'm going to head over to the Hippodrome tomorrow and check it out. So see ya. Love the show, guys.
Good. We're actually going to hear from Marty later on in the show, see how London was.
How London went. Yeah. Why is it just, I know we've talked about this before, why don't they like craps in London?
Well, it's just, again, it's not that they don't like it. It's just that it's sort of, why don't we like soccer? Yeah. Right? I mean, it's part of the culture.
There are enough people in this country that like soccer.
Well, I know. And
it's not the majority. You would think, though, every casino there would have one craps table.
Yeah, it goes back to just being kind of an American thing, and especially servicemen, during the war and
playing
for
like
whatever
street
reason.
craps.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And it just caught on. So,
but they're on our side. Yeah. Shouldn't they let's be like those Yanks?
Hey, I know we got plenty of listeners in the UK that love craps. So
yeah, I know we do have some. And I'm going to go there someday. I mean, I've been to the airport, I guess, in Heathrow, but I haven't actually been to London.
Oh, really? It was just a layover?
Just a layover.
Really? So you've never been there?
Never actually been. Oh. I'd like to go and just go into one of those casinos.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, he was talking about Reno. Have you ever been to the Grand Sierra? It used to be the MGM Grand. So when it opened in the 70s, it was MGM Grand.
Yeah.
When you
I
used
might
to
have
go,
been there. I just don't remember.
It's like 3 miles on the outside of town. Did you usually? No, you usually guys just went to downtown. Okay, yeah. All right. Well, it sounds nice.
Yeah, it sounds nice. So it's had a lot of names.
Yeah, a lot of names. Yeah, it opened up as the MGM Grand, and then it was Bally's Grand for a while, or Bally's Reno, I should say. And then it was a Reno Hilton, and now it's a Grand Sierra Resort. So
wow, it's changed ownership a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the outskirts. I don't know that I've been there. I can't say that I've been there.
Probably not. All right. Well, let's hear from Adam.
Hey, guys. This is Adam from Denver, Colorado, calling again. Just Couple things. I know you guys have talked kind of occasionally about where you want to go outside of Vegas for your next gambling trip. Not sure if you ever thought about Black Hawk, Colorado. It's about 40 minutes outside of Denver, so pretty easy to get to. And there's a stretch there where there's about a quarter mile. There's about 10 casinos all lined up together, so you can pretty easily casino hop. Several of them are quite large, each with 3 or 4 craps tables, and full odds craps. At least 3, 4, 5. Some have more than that. Really, the only limitation is the max individual bet is $100. That's the state law. But other than that, it's all real craps. So I just thought I'd point that out there. Also, I wanted to relay a story of a crap table I was at recently. I was rolling and I won a couple points, and then I could tell the guy next to me had been drinking. He wasn't too obnoxious, but anyway, I could tell he had been drinking. Then he gets the dice. He'd already been warned once about using profanity from the pit boss, and he gets the dice, and, well, for one thing, he had kind of an annoyingly long routine where he would shake the dice for literally probably 30 to 45 seconds before he rolled.
That's way too long.
And then finally roll them. And he was warned once from the pit boss about that he needed to roll quicker, but then he continued to do it for his next couple rolls. He was actually doing pretty well, ironically. But then he started kind of talking smart to this pit boss, like, "Oh, you tell me when to roll. You tell me when to roll." And then he said something else. I don't remember exactly what he said, but the pit boss then just told him, like, "All right, guys, take all his bets down," and actually kicked him out of the casino in the middle of his roll. Which, even though his roll procedure was a little annoying because it took so long, I thought it was kind of a quick hook. Didn't really seem to get much warning. So I just thought I'd relay that and kind of wonder if you guys had any crazy stories about people getting kicked off craps tables, or more specifically, a guy in the middle of his own roll where he had a decent amount of money on the table get kicked out. My hunch is that it was kind of just the tip boss may have had a rough day and was just done with dealing with crap, but anyway, love the show and keep up the good work. All right.
First off, Mike, let me ask you about this Colorado $100 limit. Do you think you'd be able to play craps or any game in Colorado and be limited to $100? Yeah. And I imagine that applies to odds as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. When he was talking about this, I was thinking, God, Colorado, and 10 casinos, he said, that'd be great, right? I mean, you could move from casino to casino. And Colorado, I've never been there, but, I've
driven through it. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah, I've driven through it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful,
sure.
right? The countryside's beautiful. I mean, that'd be a great place. You could go to Denver and then go over there. Yeah. But $100 limit.
It's one of those things where the legislature thinks they're being smart for some reason. If we limit it to $100, that's really going to cut down on crime or, money laundering or who knows.
That's ridiculous.
Maybe to a certain extent, but it's what they're...
I'd be really surprised if it cut down on crime.
Yeah.
The thing is $100 on a craps table. So you got a $90 6, $90 8.
And that's it.
And that's it. And it can hit 14 times and you're stuck at $90.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be rough.
That would probably drive you crazy.
I'd be sitting there thinking, I'd already be up to 3,000. What is the deal here? Be my luck, right?
Yeah.
We'd go and some guy'd roll 14 sixes in his roll.
Well, if we ever eventually are over there for some reason, football game or who knows what, we definitely check it out.
Would
go.
For
sure.
Yeah, and I'd play, but that is kind of low. 500.
Yeah, I know.
I could see.
500 is much better.
It's much better.
Yes, I agree.
And 1,000 I'd probably be okay with, right? Mm-hmm. But gosh, $100, that's not very much money in today's world.
Well, it's certainly like you said, not a craps table. If you got on a hot roll, then the most you can have out there is 100. Yeah, that'd
be
too much.
well, I guess you wouldn't lose a lot either, right?
That's true. Yeah,
right?
It's helping the gambler. It's helping the customer.
Mm-hmm. It's weird because I always equate things to like the grocery store. You go to the grocery store now, it's hard to get out of the grocery store under $100.
Yeah, sure. Oh
right?
gosh, if you're doing
especially
for
like
the whole
a family
week, and
of 4. My wife goes, I need $250 to go to the grocery store. I mean, well, no, there's $100 limit, honey.
That's what you should say from now on. That's right. Stretch it out. That's it for the week.
There's $100 limit. You can have a $90 worth of groceries, and you got $10 left for donuts. And that's it.
Oh. Well, getting to his other now, no, we have never seen somebody kicked out in the middle of a roll.
In the middle of a roll. That was probably the pit boss just had enough.
That's what I'm thinking because, Adam, what you're describing, it doesn't sound like, I mean, okay, he's drunk, he's taking too much time, but it doesn't sound like he's being abusive or cheating or anything like that to the point where they get kicked out.
Or been repeatedly warned, like, 20 times, look, come on, you got to do this, and just ignoring you flat out.
Yeah.
Then you might get a little PO'd and say, okay, you're out of here.
I mean, did the pit, say, hey, look, if you keep this up, I'm going to kick you out. You think there'd be at least that to
Some
start
kind
with.
of warning, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when we first got this call, our answer was going to be, well, no, we've never seen anybody kicked off of a craps table.
Yeah.
But
then it happened this last weekend.
Yeah, so we were there 2 weeks ago at Harrah's, Southern California.
Right.
And we were playing at a table, and there were two guys there playing the don't.
The one guy I've seen before several times, but he's always been by himself.
Yeah.
Well, in this Friday night, he was there with a buddy.
Yeah, right.
And they were being particularly obnoxious.
Well, the thing was they were betting the don't.
Right.
And they were loud about it.
They were very loud about it. I mean, it wasn't like just the two of them. They were interacting with other people on the table.
Yes.
So almost baiting you, if you will.
Exactly. So it wasn't that they were just cheering when a 7-out came up. They were like, come on, 7-out, 7-out. Saying things like, what does everybody want?
Right. Well, when the guy who we had never seen before, and he was standing, there was one person between me and him. And when he looked at the other side of the table, he was rolling from the don't and he was yelling, what do y'all want? You want a 7, right? Come on, let's hear it. You want a 7. Everyone else on the table's on the pass line.
Yeah.
And, me, but several other people had large amounts of money out there.
Sure.
Fine, you want to roll from the don't, that's your business. And if a 7 comes up, I have to live with that.
Right, sure.
But he was just baiting people and being obnoxious.
Yes, and at one point during a 7-out, you actually said something to him.
Well, the only time I said something to him was that one time, and I turned to him and I said, it's kind of uncool to do that.
Right, yeah.
That's exactly what I said.
You didn't call him names or anything.
No,
you just said,
said,
it's kind of uncool to do that.
It's kind of uncool to do that.
Right.
And he just went ballistic.
Well, I don't know that he went ballistic, Mike, but what he did was...
call me a couple names.
Did he?
Yeah,
okay.
he did call me a couple names.
Well, the thing was, he kept saying, hey, all I'm doing is cheering for myself, right? This is the way I would like to bet, and I'm cheering for myself, which, of course, that's not all he's doing. He knows he's getting under people's skin, right?
Right.
And
he was drunk as well.
Yes, he was drunk, but, he wasn't like blackout drunk, right? He was just in a good mood.
No, he knew what he was doing.
And so the pit boss went over and talked to him very diplomatically. I actually heard the conversation.
The pit boss was Kyle. He was very diplomatic, and he's a nice guy.
Yes.
And he's a big guy too. Kyle's kind of a big guy, and this guy was kind of big. So height wise, this guy was much bigger than me.
Yeah.
But Kyle just, and he is explaining to him, look, you just hold it down a little bit, play any way you want. We don't care. Just be courteous. Basically, is what he was telling him.
And the other thing was these two guys, they were also tipping.
Yeah.
Actually quite a bit. And by quite a bit, I mean like every roll they'd throw like $2 into the middle.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty much every roll.
Pretty much every roll they were putting a couple bucks out there for the dealers.
Yeah. So, is that, are they thinking, hey, we're tipping, we can act however we want. I think that's kind of the attitude that they took.
It's exactly the attitude they took. And that isn't appropriate either.
Right. That you can't abuse
it's nice to tip
anybody,
but
just
you don't
tip
so you can take advantage.
Well, so anyway, as the night went on, they started to lose, and then I don't know.
Eventually they got wiped out.
Yeah, they left. And they went to bed. So apparently the next night,
because they were staying over.
They were staying over. So we weren't here for this, but the next week, all the dealers and all the pit bosses were so anxious to tell us this story. Now, oh, Mike and Mark, guess what happened? Well, apparently these guys were back, and they were still being obnoxious.
Right.
And the pit who was working at the time is Lizzie, great pit boss. She's terrific.
A very nice person.
Right. And so they're being their same obnoxious selves. And, they're whooping it up. And at one point, and Lizzie's in there kind of doing her work,
Right.
At one point, one of them says to her, hey, smile.
Right.
Now, when a really obnoxious guy tells a woman who, maybe they don't know, and maybe a woman who's working, when they say, hey, smile, the woman doesn't think, yeah, you know what? I really should smile. I really should be.
Yeah.
No, what she's thinking is, you. Right?
Right.
And so apparently, I don't know if Lizzie smiled or whatever, but she went on about her work.
Right. And they were kind of trying to flirt with her on Friday night.
Okay.
They kept telling her, they started it on Friday, telling her, smile, come on, smile.
Yeah, and she's not
just
having any of it.
She was just going about her business.
Right.
So then I guess it continued on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And from what we heard, she had had enough and she told him, look, just play your game and relax or something. Right. And then when she turned around, evidently they called her an inappropriate name.
Yeah, they called her a and we beeped that out because this is a family-friendly show, but it was the B word.
Right.
And so she turned around, that's it, you're out.
Yeah, that's it, you're out. She just called security and then threw him out.
And kicked him out. And from what we understood, they didn't just get kicked out that night. They're 86th.
Right.
They're banned.
They can't come back. She told me that when that casino originally opened, at first they would just kick people out for the night.
Mm-hmm, right.
And then it was like, the weekend, and then it was a week. And eventually it got to the point where when they kick someone out now, it's it, you're gone. If someone sees you and recognizes you again, they get security and you're out of there.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm not sorry at all because these guys were horrible people. And again, had nothing to do with playing the don't. No. I play the don't all the time.
Right.
It's just that they really enjoyed getting under people's skin and just being jerks.
They were trying to get under people's skin.
Mm-hmm, yeah, it was intentional.
It wasn't
that was
like,
part of their game.
just like, I don't realize. I mean, that was part of their thing.
Mm-hmm, yes.
They wanted to get under your skin.
Yep, exactly. So,
almost as if they wanted to start a fight.
It was kind of like they were looking for trouble.
When he called me a name, I'm like, well, you're egging the wrong person on because I'm just going to ignore you. I mean, I'm too old and too small to be fighting you. Right?
Yeah. So anyway, there's our story of somebody, at least somebody getting kicked out. Maybe not in the middle. I don't know if it was in the middle of their role.
I doubt it.
But they were gone. I'm sure they took all the bets down and they were out of there. So, all right. Next call.
Hey, gentlemen. Walter here from Aloha, Oregon. And I just wanted to call and first of all say thank you for letting me rediscover my love of the game of craps. I have so much fun playing it. I don't know why I left it for so long. I just wanted to tell you about a trip I just took to Reno where I could do absolutely no wrong. I started by hitting a progressive video poker jackpot, which mercifully was $14 short of taxable, which is always nice. And then I proceeded to rack up a craps win of $1,200. I could literally do no wrong. My craps strategy was to start with $5 single odds and building it as the numbers are made. And there was a lot of up and down before a really hot shooter came up, and I got up to 3 times and 4 times and 5 times odds and really started cleaning up. Did the same thing when the dice came to me. Started over at singles, started building up 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and really hit a nice long roll and started cleaning up. Only making a pass line bet and 2 come bets. At one time, I had 3 come bets up, and then I let one of those come down. I just kept it at the 2.
Yeah,
so
I like
worked
that.
Really well. I tipped the dealers very nicely, and they were very helpful. One time there was an error where they took my come bet on 7 out when I should have had the come bet paid because it was on the come line. And that was an error on their part, but they corrected it right away. No quibbles. It was only a $5 bet. And then there was another one later, and remember, I'd been tipping, and the dealer had left my 3 come bets on the numbers on a 7 come out. And I looked at the dealer, and I looked down at my numbers, and I looked back at the dealer, and he just kind of gave me a wink, and off we went. So I think he'd made the mistake, but wasn't going to correct the mistake because I had been tipping nicely. That's my guess. And those numbers continued to hit, and I continued to make money, and I continued to tip. So great trip, fun trip. Thanks again for rediscovering craps for me, and keep up the good work on the show. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, it pays to tip.
Yep. I love those calls. I love a call like that when some guy
somebody wins, you mean? Or
wins and he's happy about playing craps.
Yes, I know.
Because we have such fun at it.
I know, yeah.
And it's such a social game. Mm-hmm. It's like we were talking about those guys getting kicked out, right?
Yeah.
When you're all together at the table and everyone's winning, there's nothing better.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Right?
Yeah,
and
really
even when you're all losing, there's some kind of camaraderie among. Can you believe that?
Commiserating,
you know,
sure.
We're commiserating about how bad the rolls were.
Yeah.
And when there's a jerk on the table, it kind of throws the mood off. And you have the right attitude because you always just leave.
That's
you
true.
immediately leave when somebody's.
I don't want to have.
You don't want to have anything to
it.
do with that.
Yeah.
I'm stubborn. I'm like, I'm going to stick it out. But,
we actually have some more calls kind of about that. How hey, craps, yes, craps. Well, it's interesting because now when you tip, obviously dealers aren't going to cheat for you.
No.
But we've seen this before with dealers that we know where maybe they forgot to collect a bet, but since the dice are out, it's like, oh yeah, never mind. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But as something we've said in the past too, easily the most common mistake dealers make at the craps table is not collecting losing come bets when there's a 7 on the come out roll.
Right. Well, especially if there's other bets.
Other bets that distract them.
Distract them
Yes,
from that.
absolutely.
And that happens a lot.
It does happen a lot. Yep.
You know, the one thing that I think that the dealers do for us, I think you'll agree with this, this happens the most. If for some reason, like I forget to take odds,
Yes.
or sometimes
yeah.
I've not taken full odds, they will immediately call the pit over and said, oh, Mike was a quarter short on his odds, or, Mike forgot to put his odds. Can we pay him?
Yep.
And they always do. They
Yep,
always
they always
pay
say,
me
"Yep, go ahead,"
like
and-
they were there.
They would say, "Yeah, go ahead and put the bet
if it had been
out
a
there."
7 out, they would just take my line bet and not say a word.
I agree. I love that. I remember when that happened to me once at Luxor. This is like 20 years ago,
Right.
where they didn't know me at all.
Right.
But they had seen the way I'd been playing. Odds every time. It's like, they look and the pit says, "Yep, go ahead, pay him." And all they request is that you put the bet down so the eye in the sky can
It's
see.
a perfect way to run a business.
Absolutely.
You keep the customer happy, especially in gambling, especially us. They know we're going to be there next week and
Yep,
we're going to
they're-
put the money
they're making
down.
money off us, yeah.
They're going to make money off us, so they keep us happy.
Yep.
And because we tip them and we're friendly and everything, you get that kind of thing. If you're not so friendly or not tipping, they probably just pay your line bet, say, "Oh, sorry, you missed it."
So another advantage to tipping, even though, like we said, they're probably not going to deliberately, do something wrong, but they may look the other way if something was missed,
occasionally
something
things
like
happen,
that. Yeah.
right.
All right, let's hear from Robin over at Anytime Gambling. He's got a few questions for us.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Robin from Anytime Gambling. I had 3 questions that came up to my thoughts while I was listening to old podcasts of You Can Bet on That, seeing that I'm all caught up. So here's my question. Question number 1 was, this was in response to your last podcast. You had said that you were getting a lot of mailers and offers from the Penn National Casino that you have out there. So question number 1 is, do you know if at Penn National or in any of the other casinos that you frequent, if when you take advantage of using your points, going to a restaurant, getting a giveaway, and then don't gamble on that day, do they all consider it a non-gambling day and is, from that point on, a 0 theoretical day? Out here in Connecticut, Mohegan Sun does that anytime you use your card. So I could bring my wife out on Mother's Day, and it would count as a no gambling day, simply because I'm using the points that I have earned. So that's my first question. Do the casinos out there in California do that also?
Robin, we have no idea. We have no idea. We've been told different things. It depends on who you ask.
Right.
And nobody
Never
really
get a clear answer on that.
So we don't know. And what Robin's talking about is if you go out and you don't play, but that counts as a gambling day, that's $0 spent on that day, and it messes up your average daily, theoretical, your ADT, which a lot of casinos use to decide how much you're going to get in comps or whatever.
Right, free play or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, believe me, I would love to know the answer to that because a lot of times on Sundays at Harrah's Rincon, I'll drive up there with my daughters. We go to church and then we drive up to Harrah's Rincon.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. And, we have a buffet.
Yeah.
Because the kids love the buffet.
Sure.
And I get some free play on Sundays. So we eat our buffet and then my wife and daughters are having dessert. I run and I get my free play. I play my free play, which is their money.
Yeah, and you're certainly not risking the same amount of money that you would on a typical Friday night.
Oh, no, not even close. So I play my free play, and then I go back and eat some more dessert with them, and then we leave.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered, how bad is that screwing me up?
Yeah.
Is it worth it? Or
Yeah.
not? I mean, I'd still go because my kids love the buffet.
Of course, you're thinking about your kids.
Yeah, they want the dessert. I'm thinking about my free play.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we do that quite often.
Yeah.
And it's a good deal for us, but I don't know how much that screws me up.
We have no idea, and when we've tried to find out, we get different answers, and so who knows? Only the guy in the IT department is going to tell us for sure.
I mean, the only way you'd know for sure is if you saw a decrease maybe in your comps.
But even then, it could be anything. No, you'd have to be, I think, really in the depths of the whole machinations going on behind the scenes.
Right.
So
probably there isn't any depth to it. It's probably just like, we have no idea.
And nobody knows. All right, back to Robin.
Second question. I heard on one of your previous podcasts, Dr. Mike especially, that you were unhappy with the Patriots and how detrimental to the NFL it was, and all the facts that you had mentioned. And, well, now it's been quite a while. It lit a fire into the Patriots. The Patriots are the champions, and there's still no real data except for the fact that Tom Brady chucked his phone when it shouldn't have. So my question is, do you feel any better about your feelings concerning all those things that you thought were so detrimental to the NFL? And now what do you think?
All right, Mike, why don't you handle this? Keeping in mind, Robin's probably a big Patriots fan living up in New England. I don't know if you want to be diplomatic or not or whatever. But
well, no, I'm going to say this right off the bat. I'm not a Patriots fan.
No.
And I'm not a Patriots fan because they win too much.
Well, and we were Charger fans, and,
right.
we
And, that happens when a team wins a lot.
Yeah.
When you don't live in that town. Now, if the Chargers had won, 8 Super Bowls, I'd be like rubbing it in everyone's face, right? But we live in a town where we've never won a Super Bowl, and the Patriots have won quite a few, and they have great teams. They're a great organization.
Yeah.
And I admire Tom Brady.
Even though I think he was involved, that's the reason he got rid of his phone, sure.
Right. I think he was involved to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And I don't even hold that against him because he does whatever it takes to win, right?
Yeah.
And the guy's a great quarterback. You can't deny he's a good quarterback.
Absolutely.
And they have a great organization and stuff. My problem with them, why I tend to be negative towards them is because they win all the time.
Yeah, sure.
And that's not a bad thing for them. If you're a Patriots fan, that's great.
No. And, Bill Belichick, even though I don't like him,
right.
he's probably the smartest coach in the NFL.
Oh, sure.
Talk about knowing football.
Yeah.
Right?
He knows the game. A lot of what might sound like hatred for the Patriots among other fans in the NFL is actually jealousy.
Well, to a certain extent, but the allegations.
We just wish we were in that situation.
I know, but the allegations of cheating, it just keeps coming up so much,
right.
Where there's smoke, that kind of thing.
Right. I'll tell you what, just yesterday, my wife and I were talking about this last night. We kind of feel bad for the Patriots now because they've got to pay Aaron Hernandez's family all that money.
Okay, I wouldn't feel too bad about it.
No, I know, but they're going to get millions of dollars. They let him go because he was at the time convicted of something, and because of his death and the appeal. I understand how all the legal parts of that were, but it's kind of weird that they have to end up paying for it.
Yeah. What do you think of the NFL overall?
Well, they're greedy.
Yeah.
And they're conniving, if you will. Overall, I've never had a real good opinion of the NFL.
Right. We've supported, teams and players and the sport, but the organization. Well, Robin talks about this a little bit more too.
I just think the NFL's out for the NFL.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the NFL is those 30 owners, right?
Yes, yeah.
And they're very wealthy and they can do what they want, but they're not in the same standing for me as like Major League Baseball is.
Okay. All right.
Because I think Major League Baseball tries to be more upright and fair about everything.
Okay. Well, whether or not I agree with you, it definitely is a different business because if you've got, say, Coca-Cola, if Coca-Cola makes some kind of change, there's not this huge fan outburst. Well, there's a number of fans of Coca-Cola. Right. Maybe that wasn't a good example, but there's nothing quite like sports teams.
Right.
Businesses that are sports teams that just have these devoted fans who love these teams.
Right.
That get heartbroken maybe just because of a loss or worse, when their team actually leaves town.
Yeah. Well, I had a patient actually this afternoon who I knew was a big Charger fan. And so I asked him, what'd you think about the draft?
Okay.
And his exact words were, I didn't watch any of it. I don't care about the Chargers anymore. He was really upset.
That's the way my dad is. Yeah.
I watched the draft. I was happy with their draft. I thought they got some pretty decent players. And I'm still going to be a fan of the Chargers.
No, not me.
I'm going to watch it on TV.
I'll watch it on TV, but like I said, they're not a San Diego team. I'm not going to be a fan. The reason I was a fan was because they were San Diego team.
You got to have some teams that aren't in your city that you like. I've always liked the Vikings.
Well, that's fine. My wife's from Illinois. I'll root for the Bears.
Root for the Bears, yeah.
All right. Back to Robin.
My question is this. Off late, when I'm playing craps, it seems like I can't do anything but 7 out. And it is causing people at whatever table I play at to look at me like a real terrible player to be at a table with. In your mind, if you are on a bad roll or a bad couple of rolls at a different tables or whatever the case may be, you have a history of just not rolling well, do you just pass the dice to someone else so that the table won't necessarily get ripped at you, or do you just throw the dice anyways? I'm not a big believer in dice setting, but I'm also, like to not be hated at the table as well, or I don't want to hear people, complaining, oh gosh, it's him again. So what would you do? About my Patriots question in the NFL, tell me something. Do you think the NFL misjudged the Chargers move to Los Angeles? I mean, that's just bad. That's just really bad. I know the Chargers weren't the best, but they're one of the original AFL teams, and to just let them go like that, I just think it was a travesty. Anyways, I really miss not seeing you guys in May. Good luck with everything you're doing, and of course, you're my favorite podcast. You guys are awesome. Hope to see you soon. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Robin.
Thanks.
We kind of covered this, talking before, but I think it was a terrible move. We'll see. A part of me is kind of hoping that it's a disaster up there.
Right.
But really,
I
the stance I need to take is just, I don't care.
Yeah. Well,
why
I don't know
why
if
get invested in
have
it?
I mentioned this before? And I don't remember, but see, my personal feeling about their move is I love the Chargers. I don't like Dean Spanos.
Yes. You've mentioned that. Of course, he's terrible.
Dean Spanos, I bet money that in a couple of years after the new stadium opens and they're established in LA, he sells the team for $2 billion or whatever,
we'll see, sure.
takes his money and runs. That's the whole motive behind his move. I'm sure of it, because nothing else makes sense. He wants to make a bunch of money and retire. And from a business standpoint, maybe that's good. From a humanity standpoint,
well, see, this is
terrible.
This is what I'm saying. I think, and you certainly can't have a law for this, but
Right.
I think that sports businesses should be run differently because the fans are so devoted to these teams.
Yeah, well, you have an emotional interest.
Exactly. You have an emotional interest, right? Now, as far as passing the dice, actually, Robin asked Cousin Vito the same question.
Right.
And Vito said, he never passes the dice.
Yeah, you know
it doesn't
me.
matter.
You know what I do.
All right, so you say what you do.
You never pass the dice.
Yeah, Mike never passes the dice.
Once.
I remember once, and it was recent.
It was recently.
Yes.
The one time I passed the dice.
Yes.
And it's just doing it to
it was probably
around.
I was putting pressure on you.
You were putting pressure on me. But, I never pass the dice, and here's why. If you're the person who's never sevened out, right? You've never had a 7 out, then I bow down to you.
Yeah.
But everyone else I know has had a 7 out, and sometimes it's on the second roll, right? And sometimes it's on the 30th roll.
Yeah.
But we've all been there. We've all done that. Your arm's no different than anyone else. Pick those dice up and chuck them down there.
Yeah, I completely agree. Although, you know me, I very often pass the dice.
You very often pass.
Very often. And there's no real good reason for it. Sometimes it is that, the last few times it's been terrible.
Right.
And, I really don't care whether I'm shooting or not. I mean, it's kind of fun, especially if you get on a hot roll.
Right.
But it's not important to me to roll the dice.
And
so I have no trouble just passing.
Right. I understand that. You don't care whether you roll or not.
Yeah.
And you're going to bet the same way on your roll as you're going to do on the next guy's roll.
Right.
So you don't care. But, my thing is always, someone's got to roll.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, how many times has it just been you and I on the table, right?
Right.
And we have no choice but to roll.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Robin. Yeah, hopefully we'll see you again soon. All right. Speaking of people that we will see soon, let's hear from Taylor.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Taylor from New Mexico. Remember that time your podcast got me to start playing craps?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, it
so
was
I just
great.
got back from the racetracks. So I saw your take on Kentucky Derby about 5 hours before the race started, and then I tweeted my pick, which was just Classic Empire, I just picked the winner of the Arkansas Derby because I lived in Arkansas. And then I just go to the track 2 hours away, so I was driving, and Tara was giving me the picks. Apparently Tara's mom worked for Bob Baffert back in late 70s, so her family kind of knows the horse racing lingos. So she picked 6 horses, so I crossed each of them, and of the 6, first and the second were coming from her. The first pick was also your pick, so that worked out really well. So I made some money on the horse racing, but I played some craps while I was waiting at a casino, and so lost some money there. So it's kind of a give it and take it away thing. So, but anyway, this was super fun. I probably won't do horse betting all the time, but for Kentucky Derby and the other Triple Crown races, maybe that seems like a viable option now. Anyway, thank you for your podcast, and I'll see you guys in 3 weeks. Bye.
All right, so Taylor's you got his hands in all the pies now, right? Because he played poker, right, and now horse racing. Yeah,
are we bad influences, Mark?
Oh, we're good influences, Mike. And hey, Taylor, the Preakness is coming up. A week from Sunday, right? You have the Kentucky Derby, and then 2 weeks later you have the Preakness. What did I say? A week from Sunday? A week from Saturday. My God, I'm losing it. A week from Saturday.
Very rarely is the Preakness on a Sunday.
Very rarely. Yes. All right.
You know what's good though about horse racing, and he dipped his foot into it a little bit.
Okay.
And same with sports betting. I can go at a craps table and play with a fair amount of money. But when I go to bet on horses or sports, it's very small money.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I just like it because it's some interest. So when that race goes off, you're rooting for something.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And it makes it more interesting, more fun. I used to always watch the Kentucky Derby without betting on it.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
But it's way more fun if you've got even $2 on one horse.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Mike, because we started the show talking about how, we did pretty good at the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
But, I mean, we didn't bet that much, right? You're going to make way more money next time we play craps.
So. On the first bet. The first winning bet will probably pay more than we made on the Kentucky Derby.
But, it is true. For whatever reason, I don't know why we get as much enjoyment out of putting $2 to win on a horse.
Because everyone likes to be a winner.
Yeah, sure.
That's why you root for the Patriots. They're your favorite team.
Because they're going to win.
Right.
That's right. Okay, let's hear from Vinny.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Vinny from Long Island. I was calling in with a trip report. Was able to go to Ben Salem again to Parx Casino. Not only was there a huge tournament going on there that got close to 2,000 entries for $300, there was obviously the Kentucky Derby going on. So Parx does have a racetrack which is on season right now, or in season. So it was packed with individuals. Unfortunately, ran pretty bad and just played pretty poorly in the tournament. But the good news is 2 of my friends who don't get out to the casino with me that much took a ride and came through. So we spent the night gambling at Parx. So a couple things I want to bring up. One, looks like they had some kind of new fusion blackjack roulette machine. Really didn't know what that was about till we walked over. Looks like it's a way of introducing $5 blackjack and $5 roulette in like one automated type ring game. So it had 2 live dealers in between a bunch of like stadium seating type machines. One was running blackjack and one was running roulette. So a little weird, but I guess when you sit down, you have the choice to play either or for a pretty cheap bet. So I thought that was interesting. 2, while waiting for a craps table to open up, there was only about 5 or 6 tables there, and on a Saturday night, they were extremely packed. We sat down to teach one of my friends how to play Pai Gow. We play Pai Gow, me and my good friend Dan, all the time when we're in Atlantic City, but my other friend Steve never really had a chance to play before and wanted to learn. So we sat down, pretty cheap table, $25 minimum, and kind of taught him how to play. The dealers were pretty open with us, be able to help him out and look at his cards and things like that. But an interesting situation happened where I had myself a ace-high Pai Gow with, I think, a king-high top. And, I got excited when I saw that the dealer also had an ace-high Pai Gow that had beaten mine. So as they took away my cards, pushed the bet, I start to notice that their top had the wrong cards. So they should have had an ace-8 Pai Gow. Instead, they took the ace-9 Pai Gow instead of putting the 9 up top. So I made the dealer aware. He was called the floor over. They went ahead, pulled the cards out, and realized, that I actually had a winning hand. So I was able to get $150 out of that, which after a couple of drinks, I'm kind of surprised that I noticed. But look, they were very open with going back and checking the cards. And again, Parx has always been great with the staff. So after that, a craps table did open up. It was a $25 table, which is, pretty high for us, but we wanted to take a shot or two. Took my Pai Gow winnings over there, and before my friends even got there and they were still cashing out, I probably lost about $300. I put 25 on the line, maxed out my odds, did 2 combats, and of course, 7 comes right away. So before they even got there, I lost more than I wanted to, but did open up again, and happy I did so as we went on a decent roll. Got back the money that we had lost, or the money I had lost, I should say, and then, at least got about 3 times that in profit. So I was extremely happy to see that. It was a great night overall. The only other thing I wanted to mention, I know you guys don't get out to the Northeast much, but it looks like Parx will be doing quite the renovation. adding a whole concert area, it looks like, adding a couple of new restaurants. I believe a well-known Italian kind of chain is going to be there, as well as some sort of gastro pub. So just excited to see that. Looks like they're also moving the poker room from the racetrack area to the main casino, which, although I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful new poker room, it makes it a little hard to go in there, play cards, and not step foot on the casino floor when I'm trying to save some money. So, again, just wanted to give a trip report. Thanks for everything you guys do, and I'll be calling back shortly as I'll be back at Parx in probably 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, he's talking about how he saw that stadium.
It's similar to what you played at Verona.
Yeah, exactly. I talked about it last episode. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Because you're playing together. You all get the same hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great innovation, to be honest with you.
They devised a way to make it more social.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So you're winning and losing together. I mean, you
right.
can make different decisions. You know,
Right.
one person hits and the other doesn't.
Right.
And maybe it's different. But for the most part, you're winning and losing together.
Right.
So,
As
yeah.
opposed to sitting at a blackjack table where, you're getting cards like crazy, winning, and your buddy's getting wiped out.
Yeah.
And, it's the same table, and the dealer's got the same hand, but your cards aren't. This way, you kind of win and lose together,
Yeah.
which is nice.
And, when it comes to the side bets, and again, these side bets, we don't necessarily recommend them because they have high house advantages. But if everybody's making a side bet, some
Right.
bet that, depends on like the cards that you're dealt and the dealer's up card, well, you're all going to win at the same time. So
right.
suddenly everybody at the stadium seat is like, woo!
Yeah, and that's another thing, right? Because you see that at like a pie gow table where, somebody played the bonus bet and won.
Yeah, right.
But other people didn't.
Yeah, maybe they got an envy, but that was about it, right? Yeah. So anyway, the pie gow poker story, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yes.
Now, I'm glad that he caught that. It also, I want to emphasize, always turn over your hand.
Right.
Now, it didn't really matter so much in Vinny's case because the dealer had actually misplayed his hand.
Right.
But,
you see it a lot where people just fold their hand. I just lost.
Yeah.
And they fold their hand.
I always recommend, especially in a game like that where you're not really giving away information. It's not like it's
Right.
poker,
Right.
Real
Right.
poker. Flip it over because maybe you miss something, especially if you've had a few drinks.
Right,
Maybe you
exactly.
missed something, right? Maybe you had a straight that you accidentally broke up. And I've seen casinos say, you didn't see, you misplayed your hand here. We'll reset
Right.
it for you. Even at our home game, Mike,
Yeah.
I say to everybody, flip over your cards,
Right,
right?
'cause
This
we've
is not
missed-
the World Series of Poker. You're not,
Right.
hiding information that can be used against you. Hey,
Right.
even last night, we were playing Omaha high-low,
Right.
and I turned over my hand. I said, I have the nut low. And the guy I was playing against, he had like 2 pair. And then as we're starting to split up the chips, everybody's looking down. Oh, Mark, you've got a straight. I hadn't seen it. I was so
Right.
fixated
You were
on low.
Right. That happens a lot in split pot games.
Yep.
You get fixated on one way.
And so by flipping over my hand, I was able to scoop the pot. So, yeah.
Well, 2 things. When he was talking, I thought, number one, he's teaching his buddy how to play pie gow.
Yeah.
You think pie gow's easy to learn?
I think so. If you already know poker hands,
Yeah.
that's really the key.
Right.
As long as you don't have to think
If you're an
twice.
experienced poker player, it's not that bad.
Piece
if
of
you're
cake.
not an experienced poker player, maybe you're one of those people just, I go to the casino once a year, and you sit down. I think it's kind of rough.
Maybe, but let's say all you've done is play video poker.
Yeah.
You understand the rankings of the hands,
Right.
and that's all you need to know.
It's things like his example, right, where you have an ace high.
Yeah.
And sometimes, so let's say you have ace, king, jack.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your thing would be, do I put ace, king below and jack on? No, you put the king up, you have ace, jack behind.
Yeah, that
little nuances.
That is true. For novices, that is one of the trickier things is when you have nothing, when you have a pie gow hand and no pair or anything.
Sometimes it's very obvious. You got a pair of tens.
But once you've done it a few times, like, of course. You want to make the low hand as high as possible.
If you play poker, I think my dad's always intimidated by pie gow because he thinks he'll screw up.
Yeah, I don't know. He knows poker hands.
He knows poker.
He plays
though.
3-card poker, which is not exactly the same,
poker,
but he knows the ranks.
He knows poker.
He could sit and play. I don't know. You think it'd be too slow for him?
Well, yeah, it's probably too slow for him.
We'd have to sit down with him first to do it.
But I think a lot of it is he's just afraid of screwing up. It's the same problem people have with craps. Like they're afraid they're going to screw up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not going to, especially in pie gow, because almost everywhere you go, they'll set the hand for you.
Well, you can always
You
give
always just
the
say,
hand to
"Hey,
the
set
dealer
the
and they'll
hand
set
for
it
me."
for you. Yeah, that's right.
The other thing I was thinking when he was talking is about the fact that he went to a $25 table.
Oh,
Yeah, and you can lose so fast.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I mean, if you have 25 on the line with 125 odds and you put $160 inside, and you had a quarter on all the hard ways and it's 7 out, it's $500.
Yeah, well, that's like I said on the last episode. If I'm at a $25 table, because that's where you like to play, I play 6 and 8 for 30 each, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Right.
And hope for the best.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
We've talked about that before, but you have to adjust the way you play. You can play at a $25 table.
Yep.
You just got to adjust the way you play a little.
All right, let's continue the Craps Love Fest with Eric.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Eric from Indianapolis. Quick trip report from Vegas last week. I was there for work, and I played craps at the D, Golden Gate, Downtown Grand, and Excalibur. And it was hot outside, but the dice were so cold, I almost put them in my drink. But I had a great time, regardless. I wanted to thank you, too, for your podcast, because over the past year and a half or so, I've grown to really love craps. And I was one of those people that you talk about a lot who was initially intimidated to walk up to a table. But over the course of several podcasts, you spelled out exactly how to do it and the etiquette and all that kind of thing that goes along with it. And it really made me more comfortable to go up, and now I'll hit everyone I walk past. So just want to thank you for the podcast. Bye.
Nice, huh?
That's great. Yeah, That's exactly what we were saying.
I know,
I
exactly.
love that.
Yep.
I love hearing people who get as excited as we do.
I know. Well, there's more. Let's hear from Joe.
One quick thing before we go on to the next one. Indy 500 is coming up, right? He's from Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's actually going to be when we're in Vegas.
We're in there. So we should bet on that.
All right, let's do that.
Let's make a bet. We've never bet on the Indianapolis 500.
I've never bet on car racing at all.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to look into it. I follow NASCAR pretty well.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
Yeah, I
really?
do. Oh, we watch it every
okay.
weekend.
I didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, usually I'm
How
flipping.
did I not know that?
Usually I'm flipping between we're Jimmy Johnson fans.
Oh, well, yeah. That's right. He's a
here in
local boy.
Yeah. and Lynn's relatives know him. They went to school with him, some of them.
Okay.
So they have a personal interest in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we watch NASCAR every weekend, but I've never bet on the Indy 500.
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
And I mean, I was a huge, back in the day, I loved Buddy Baker. He was Cale Yarborough.
Wow.
I loved all those guys. I used to watch it when I was a kid. I was fascinated by it. So we're going to do that.
Okay.
We're going to bet on the Indianapolis 500.
As soon as we get there, let's do that. Because it's probably, gosh, I hope we actually get there before it starts. We'll talk off mic.
Yeah.
We'll see
Yeah,
when
we'll
we get
figure
there.
it
So,
out.
all right, now Joe.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Joe calling from Los Angeles. I just got back from a trip to Vegas and thought I'd give you guys a quick trip report. On my way there, I did pass the Baker thermometer. Great sight to see. I think I tweeted you guys a picture, so thanks for liking that. But anyway, we stayed at the Link, and it's the first time I've ever tried playing craps at a table, which was great. I've been to Vegas a few times before, but I've always just done the shoot-to-win dice machine. And the table experience is much better. I did play the shoot to win a few times when I wanted to kind of discreetly play the don't, so I didn't upset the other players, but not nearly the same experience as playing at a table. I started out Casino Royale because they had the $5 minimum bet, which was great for my small bankroll. Played about an hour there and came up $10 on top, so not too bad. I woke up really early the next morning, about 4:30, just because I normally wake up early day to day, and all my friends were still asleep. So I tried to play back at Casino Royale, but their craps pit was closed. So I headed over to Cromwell instead. Since I'm going to pay $10 a hand for a roll, I might as well be at the best place to play on the strip. So I played there. I was there for about 2 hours. The dealers were great. They were really helpful and kind of controlling everyone there, and were quick. The game went smoothly. It ended up about 200, which was really great for me. And I did see a NFL running back leaving the nightclub there about 6 a.m. So that was kind of funny to see too. All the dealers got a laugh out of that. So overall, a great trip. I mean, I really appreciate the podcast, and you guys kind of helped me have the confidence to play craps at a table instead of just sitting at the dice machine. So thank you for that, and really appreciate it. Keep up the good work, and hopefully I'll see you guys down at Harrah's, Southern California sometime soon. Thanks.
Don't you love hearing that?
Yeah.
I love that people are discovering or rediscovering the game,
right?
That we love so much.
Right, and I'd like Joe to come down to Harrah's.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, seriously, anyone who's in this area should come to Harrah's and play with us. At least, spend a night with us.
Yeah. Did you get the feeling, Mike, maybe, 10 years, maybe 15 years ago, that maybe craps was kind of dying maybe that's a little too extreme. But
not dying, but it wasn't as popular.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
It's kind of when the poker thing took off.
Maybe, yeah, that could be.
A lot of young people were playing poker.
Yeah, maybe
you didn't hear
that's
as much about craps.
Yeah. I was kind of concerned that, we would see fewer and fewer craps tables at some of our favorite casinos, but I don't know if it's bounced back or maybe it just was never really, dying to begin with, but it's great to see, the tables packed.
The tables are packed. I mean, you come to Rincon on a Friday night.
Oh my gosh,
it's hard to get on a table.
Yeah, it really is, yeah. Joe actually followed up with an email. He's got a question for us. He says, do you get more discouraged after a single night of a big loss or consecutive losing outings over a few weeks, even if you end up losing the same amount of money in either scenario? I know my answer. What's yours?
Oh, it's over a few weeks. Most
really?
Definitely, yeah.
Really? You would rather lose over a few weeks?
After we go like 4 weeks and we haven't had a win, it gets me kind of down.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm saying I prefer having just one losing night, even if it's the same amount.
Oh, yeah, I was saying which one's worse.
Oh, okay.
Which I would prefer. Yeah, if I lost a large amount at one night.
You're right. That's the way he phrased the question. Sorry, I messed you up. Yeah, you were...
I was trying to interpret the question.
No, you're right. I agree. Losing over, several weeks is worse than just losing it all on one night, even if it's the same amount.
Because when you lose on one night, when you go back the next week, you're like, oh, we had a bad week last week, but we'll get it back this week.
Yeah, right.
When it's been like 4 weeks and on the 5th week, you're going back, you're thinking, oh, crap, I'm going to get hammered again, I mean, it just kind of gets to you.
Yeah,
so,
good.
I definitely don't like the long losing streaks.
Yeah, me too. All right, we're on the same page.
I gotta say one more thing about Joe's call. There are 3 kinds of gamblers.
Yes, sir.
There's the guy that stays up until like 5 a.m.
Okay.
Gets kind of drunk or tipsy and then makes it up to the room at 5 a.m., sleeps till 1 or 2, gets up and goes and gambles.
Okay, that's the
one.
first. Okay.
Then there's the guy that quits at like midnight or 11, goes to bed and gets up at 4.
Okay.
4:30 and gets down there when the tables are empty so, he can get more action in.
All right.
That's number 2.
Okay.
And then there's my dad. Who
never goes to sleep.
Yeah, who never goes to sleep. It just stays up all night. And then, at 3 p.m. the next day, he's still up.
That's right.
On the 3rd day, he might go to bed.
Maybe,
right.
Maybe he'll eat something.
Yeah, maybe he'll eat something.
All right.
I'm not really hungry. And no, I don't have to go to the bathroom. Deal the cards.
All right. So you're number 2.
I'm number 2.
And some of it could be your age.
Yeah. A lot of it's my age now, but I've always been an early riser.
Okay.
So I like to get up early.
Well, I definitely like to do that too. Get up early when there aren't as many people around. You can have some fast games.
But I will stay late.
Oh, absolutely.
Around 2, I'm beat.
Yeah.
I can't stay up till 4:30.
Yeah, no.
Because I get up at 4:30.
All right. So let's find out how Marty did in London.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, Marty from Northern California calling you live from London, England. Just got done spending a few days here for business and went and saw the Klitschko AJ fight last night. 90,000 of my closest friends at Wembley Stadium. Great time. I'm calling about casinos in London. I went out and shot some dice the other night at a place called the Hippodrome Casino. It's about 2 or 3 blocks from Piccadilly Circus, so if you're staying in central London along Piccadilly, there's about 4 casinos, all right in a row. The one that I like the best is something called the Hippodrome. They've got 4 levels of casino action, lots of different games. Most of the games that you'd see in Vegas, roulette, blackjack, 3-card poker, baccarat, casino war. They talk about electronic games. They're kind of pseudo slot machines, no video poker, and dice. In fact, it's not called craps here, it's called dice. 2 dice tables in the basement. They actually have an area which is kind of like a party pit in the basement of the building called Lola's, where they've got dancers in bird cages dancing around, so it's kind of like a party pit. Interesting dice game. So 5 to 1,000 pounds are the limits, except on the 6 and 8 where you can go to 1,200 pounds. The payoffs are very interesting here. Like a hard 6 and a hard 8 pay you 9.5 to 1. And a 4 and 10 hard pays 7.5 to 1. And on the 10s and 4s, instead of buying them, I tried to buy the 4 and 10 and they said, no, we have proper payouts here. They actually pay you 9.5 to 1 on the 4 and 10. And the way they do this is they actually have 50-cent chips on the table. The other very strange thing is, and this is, again, how you have to retrain your mind. So the 50-cent chips are yellow. The dollar chips are blue. Or actually 5-pound chips are red. The 25-pound chips are black. The 100-pound chips are pink. And the 500-pound chips are green with pink flecks on them. So again, a little bit of getting used to that.
Yeah, that
Good
would
game.
kill me.
I mean, great dealers. They've probably been in this casino 5 years or so. It's been around. So pretty good crew. Ran into some American slang. So I had a $15 4 that hit, and I said, take me to a quarter. And the guy looks at me and says, pardon me, sir. And I said, yeah, take me to a quarter. And he says, I'm not understanding what you're asking me. So they don't actually have a quarter of a pound here, I guess. And I said, a quarter of a pound? And he says, only at McDonald's. Anyway, so getting the slang down is a little bit different. But anyway, other than that, everything else is fairly much the same game as you play anywhere else in the world. The only other kind of quirky thing is you never throw the chips to the stick man. I did that at first, and he said, no, please, sir, all of the bets come to me. So even if you want to bet a hard way or the C&E, you hand it to the base dealer, who then sets it out in the middle of the layout.
I like that.
It's a good time.
It's a much better system.
I beat him up a little bit. It's a good time, and so if you ever happen to be in London, this is the place to go. It's one of only 2 casinos in London that offer craps, and this one here offers it all day long, 7 days a week. Anyway, love the show, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Good, nice. Thanks for the report.
Now, Marty, are the craps tables down in the basement?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, they are in the basement, right? That's what Christopher, my brother, said too. Yeah, in the basement. I just love that, let's hide the craps.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this is the illegal gambling down here.
Area downstairs there.
Yeah.
Well, in Australia, now I lived in Australia for a while, they have 20-cent pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 20-cent pieces make $1. There's no quarters.
No, yeah.
So if I said take it to a quarter, they'd be,
they
have no idea what a quarter is.
Yeah.
What is London? Do you know? In Britain, Great Britain, what are the denominations? How do they break up a pound?
Oh, a pound is basically their pennies. They call them pence. Okay. So a singular in Great Britain is a penny, but the plural is pence.
Pence.
So there are 100 pence in a pound.
Yeah. They have 50 pence
as far as the
or?
pieces, I don't know what the coins are, but I imagine they have something similar.
Yeah,
they don't have
quarters.
Right.
Probably like 20 pence or something.
It's strange, isn't it? Because we have $20 bills, but then we have 25 cent.
I've always
pieces.
said that. Why don't they have $25 bills? And 4 of them is 100. And just keep it easy.
Well, I've got an interesting story related to the Hippodrome. Now, last year, listener Jack, who lives in the UK, sent us some information on a promotion that the Hippodrome was offering called Super Odds Chips. It was something you could earn through the My Vegas game on Facebook. Now, these Super Odds Chips pay 100 times the normal amount. So if you bet £5 on the pass line in craps and it won, you'd get paid £500, right?
100 times your bet.
Yeah. Now, Jack and I kept looking at the rules and we're thinking, where's the catch? Where's the catch? But we couldn't find one. It was very clear here. It would pay 100 times the normal payout.
Too good to be true.
Well, I mean, that's what we kept thinking, but we kept looking at the rules and it's like, what are we missing? Well, anyway, recently Jack was finally able to redeem some Super Odds chips at the Hippodrome. He had earned £35 worth of Super Odds chips through My Vegas. So he goes up to the cage and he receives 7 of these chips. So you're figuring, okay, it's 7 times £5 a piece, right? Well, Jack looks at the chips and the value printed on each of the chips is 5 pence. Not 5 pounds.
5 cents.
Yeah, basically 5 cents, right? So yeah, if he were to make an even money wager with one of these chips, it would pay 100 times 5 pence,
pounds.
Which is 5 pounds.
Is that why they call them 5-pound chips?
I think that's the deceptive thing is they were saying, this Super Odds chip, 5 pounds, but the value on it is 5 pence.
So what they're telling you is you can win 5 pounds.
That you can win 5 pounds.
And you're thinking you're betting 5 pounds and you're going to get 500.
So that's the deception. There's they could have just said, you're going to get, 7 5-pound chips that you can just play.
Right.
But instead they make up, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is so deceptive.
It's marketing.
It's sort of silly. It's ridiculous. It's hilarious. Jeez.
So when he turned it in and realized he's got 35 cents.
Yeah, that's right. And he can't.
35 cents.
Yeah. So the best. I don't know if they stay out there till they lose.
It's still a good deal.
Well, sure. It's 35 pounds that you can win.
Right.
But yeah.
Right.
All right. Mike, do you like bad beat stories?
Oh, I love a good bad beat.
All right. Well, let's hear from Sean about the first time he went to the horse track.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Sean from North Texas. Thought I'd call in with a short story. The other day when we were tweeting about the Kentucky Derby and what it costs to make a bet on a box trifecta. I had posted, it was $24 when it was actually $12. Mark quickly tweeted back, said, I think it's 12. I was like, yeah, you're right. It is 12. I made a mistake. I sometimes get a little confused and overheated at the track.
Yeah, so just to talk about what we were talking about,
Right.
we were tweeting about it. He had said, oh, yeah, just make a $2 trifecta box on these 3 horses. It'd be $24. And I came back and said, well, wait, it's 6 bets, isn't it?
Yeah.
It should be $12. So a trifecta, what a trifecta is you have to pick the top 3 horses in order.
Right.
Right?
All the possible combinations if you box it.
Well, all the possible permutations.
Permutations, yeah. I shouldn't say combinations, permutations.
But yes, if you want to have, so you don't care what order it comes in, you have to
Right.
make 6 bets.
Right.
And because there are 6 different permutations
Right.
for that combination of 3
3 times
horses.
2 times 1.
Right. So $2, that would be a $12 bet. So that's all we were talking about.
Right.
When I tweeted back to him, I also said I have a kind of a funny story, sad story about it. About 15 years ago, I was like 25 years old, young guy, never hardly went to the casino, didn't bet, wanted to bet. There was nowhere to go around here anyways because you had to go all the way to Louisiana. But we did have the local horse track here in Dallas, outside of Dallas, Lone Star Park. For my brother's birthday, he was a couple years younger than me. It was me, him, my wife, his wife, my parents, and my grandparents, or my grandmother. And I've never bet on horses before, didn't know anything about it, but I do listen to the sports station here in town. And one of the guys there, is into handicapping horses at Lone Star Park. And he's the one that does the mock Kentucky Derby every year on the radio. Anyways, one of the things he said was you could actually handicap by looking at stuff from the day before. And we were going on Sunday. So I go and get the Sunday paper and I look at stuff from the day before. And one thing I noticed was one jockey, he was on a winning horse or was on a horse that at least showed 8 out of the 12 races. So I looked at Sundays because I got the Sunday paper, so it had Saturday and then it had the Sunday races. Looked on there and I saw a few things, but I was on a very limited budget. I might have had $50 to $75 for all 10 to 12 races. So I picked the very last race, noticed that this jockey was riding a horse that was like 15 to 1. So comes to the last race of the day. I've already lost every other race I've bet on. It's a few exactas, maybe one trifecta, $1 trifecta or something like that. So I saving my money for that last one. I make 3 total bets. I do a $2 box trifecta with that horse in it and 2 of the favorites. I do exacta, a straight exacta with him winning and somebody else finishing second, and put like $5 just winner on that horse at 15 to 1. We were super excited. I'm 25 years old, I got 3 kids, married. I've already pressed my luck plenty of times by the age of 25. I didn't do much gambling. So for me to win, I won on all 3 tickets, the trifecta. He came in first. I won the exacta and I won just a winner. So I was like majorly excited. And then when it came across the board, just the trifecta paid like $500. I mean, it was nuts on a $12 ticket. So it's the most I ever won, not even close. So we're jumping up and down. It's the last race of the day. Go up to the counter, put in the ticket. My wife had one of these new fancy camera phones. She's taking my picture. You can see the lady in the background. You can see the number on the register saying how much I won. We were just going nuts. Everybody was jumping up and down, having a good time. This is the reason why I don't care if the casino or whoever pays me wrong. So lady counts out my money, young girl. I wasn't really paying attention, and we leave. I get to the restaurant. Of course, I'm buying dinner, and I start counting out the money, start counting out the 20s first. And I get down to the hundreds, and there was only 2 of them. There should have been 5 $100 bills in there. So I got ripped off. Get home, call them the very next day, talk to the general manager, talk to security. I talked to everybody. Said there's no cameras there, this, that, and the other. So what he told me was, if you left any money up there or forgot to get it, they didn't forget. They just knew I was distracted, didn't pay me the extra $300. They said, oh, yeah, that's a tip. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Anyways, watch your money, watch your count. I was a young kid, excited. It happens. I just felt really dumb, and that has never even got close to happening to me again. And like I said, if they mispay me at the blackjack table or at 3-card poker or whatever, I just smile and keep on going. Thanks for what y'all do, guys. Talk to you there.
that's terrible.
No camera.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a camera there.
There's a camera.
I don't know.
There's been a camera since the 40s. Okay.
I don't know what Sean could have done or what they could have done for him, but it's just a terrible story.
That's a bad story.
It's awful.
You know what's funny is when and his was probably exuberance and excitement, just grabbing your money.
Sure, and who knows? Did the woman really, cheat? Who
maybe
knows?
She didn't even. Maybe she just honestly made a mistake.
Possibly,
right? It's still in the drawer, right?
Yeah, but
you know what's funny? And I was thinking about this with the previous caller. He was talking about he's surprised he noticed the mistake on the pie gal ham because he had been drinking a little bit.
Yeah.
Funny thing about gamblers, until the very moment you pass out, every moment prior to that, you can pick up any mistake. And no matter how drunk you are. You know that? Seriously. It's like Paul playing blackjack. He'll play perfect blackjack, drunk as a skunk, right? He couldn't do anything else in his life that day. Right? I mean, if you're that drunk, you're not able to do anything else very well.
You're laser focused when you've been drinking.
But when you're gambling, you're laser focused. I mean, you pick out the slightest little error, your basic strategy. You can probably count cards perfectly drunk until the moment you pass out.
And then after that, that's right. All right, one last call from Michael.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. Really love your show. Thanks for doing all the work on it. This is Michael from Kentucky, and I was just at a local casino a couple of days ago. Had an interesting experience I wanted to share, and wasn't sure if you guys had ever experienced it. I walked up to the table, and there were about 5 or 6 players all on the don't pass line, and they were doing pretty well, and I always go on the pass line, so that when the roll came to me, I started rolling, and typically when you don't hit the back wall at the casino, at this particular one especially, they make a comment, whether it's the stickman or the boxman, to say, make sure you hit the wall with the dice. Well, usually they do that after the second time you roll without hitting the back wall, but they didn't do it this time. So I didn't know if that was due to so many don't pass bettors out there that they figured if the pass person's not hitting the wall, it's in their favor, or it was just a coincidence. But I made a few points, and the casino did pretty well, and I did pretty well rolling. But I didn't know if you guys had experienced that before. Thanks again for the work you do on the podcast. Love the show.
I hope it was a coincidence.
Yeah, I do too.
Because if the casino is thinking, I got a lot of don't players out there, I'm not going to insist that he hit the back wall, because better chance that he'll make a point and we'll win.
Yeah. I think it's just a coincidence.
I hope so. But there are some pits, some casinos that are superstitious, but it probably was a coincidence. We've never seen it before. Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, and I was thinking when he was talking here, have you ever heard anyone at Harrah's Rincon say hit the back wall?
Maybe once or twice if somebody is real. Yeah. Well, see, it's especially silly if they were to ask you to do that because of the cards associated with. That's why it was so stupid that they were doing it Barona.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's still based on
the
cards.
Back wall. With the cards in there, like you're going to be able to cheat.
Yeah, but no, we never see it here.
I've never heard it here.
Yeah. All right, a couple things before we wrap up. First of all, listener Dave sent us an email letting us know that the World Series of Gin Rummy is coming to Las Vegas June 4th through the 7th at Bally's. You and I played gin rummy. I mean, recreationally. I've never studied the game.
We're recreational gamblers.
Well, I think I know a little bit more about poker.
Yeah.
I think I can hold my own at poker, but gin rummy I've only played very casually.
I've played casually with
but
friends.
It's a serious game.
Yeah.
It's
I'll tell you how serious it is. At the end after we're done and the little sniglet at the end, I'm going to tell you a good gin rummy
Okay,
story.
all right, very good. So anyway, World Series of Gin Rummy, you can find out more information by going to ginrummytournaments.com. Also, 360 Vegas Vacation 4 coming up here very soon. We're actually going to have one more episode before we do that here at the end of the month.
Right.
But we wanted
before we go.
Yeah, right before we go. We wanted to talk about a few unofficial events that will be taking place. First, Taylor and Tara are going to see Mac King at Harrah's at 3 p.m. on Saturday, May 27th.
He's a comedian, right?
Well, he's a magician. He's like a comedy magician. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read what Taylor said here. If you're arriving in Vegas early for Vegas Vacation 4 and want to meet some attendees early, feel free to join us. If you're interested, get a coupon from Harrah's Total Rewards booth ask for a $15 Mac King coupon, and get your ticket at the box office. We'll start hanging out at the Signature Bar around 2 p.m. and go into the show close to 3. You can also hang out with us without seeing Mac King if you want. So that's on Saturday. We're not going to be there
We won't be there
We're
yet.
getting there Sunday, probably late morning on Sunday. The second unofficial event on Sunday night, May 28th, the folks from the Everything Atlantic City Casinos Facebook group, including our good buddies Eric and Larry, will be having a craps meetup at Paris at 11 p.m. That one we're definitely going to.
Definitely going to that.
See
yeah.
people there. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Hey, we want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, Will, thanks very much. He says, thanks for playing my message. I always enjoy hearing your commentary, and it's nice to commiserate about the losing crap sessions. Thanks very much. Also, thank you to Marty for the very generous PayPal donation. Thank you very much. He says, love the show, guys. The 2 weeks between shows seems like forever. Man, I really admire podcasters who can do it once a week.
Yeah,
because
Well, I mean, you put a ton of work into it.
Yeah, I think my stress
Answering
level
emails and
it'd be
doing
more than
stuff.
double. It'd go
Yeah.
up exponentially.
Right.
But
I'd be the same.
with our schedules, every 2 weeks, I think, is
Yeah.
about as good as we can do. Thanks again, Marty. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Just go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com, and click on the link at the top that says TV listings. And you know what? You can't see that link on a mobile. I'm just going to give you the whole URL, right? It's youcanbetonThat.com/TV-listings.
Okay.
Go there. You can get there from any device. Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 951-2-WAGERS, or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonThat. We tweet when we're heading to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. All right, go, Mike.
All right, so real quick, if we did a podcast every week, we wouldn't have enough time to gamble.
Right. That's the
big
biggest
thing.
part. Exactly.
Yeah, because we'd be doing this instead of gambling.
That's right.
So we need that time to gamble.
Well said.
And number two, I'm going to tell you this real quick gin rummy story. So when I was in 8th and 9th grade, I had this buddy, Steve was his name, and we would go to his house on Saturday morning early, and we would start playing gin rummy in his kitchen. So they had like a countertop in their kitchen, and we'd sit at the counter across from each other playing gin rummy, and we would keep points, and it would go on for weeks, right? But the whole purpose was he lived across the street from Kathy, and she was the best looking girl in the whole 8th and 9th grade.
Okay.
I mean, she was smoking hot.
So that was
And
your incentive.
that was our incentive. We would.
Well, he lived there.
He lived there. He lived there, but I had to go over to his house, and we'd sit there and we wait for Kathy to walk out to go about her daily business on the weekend, just so we could get a glimpse of her. You know, and she was way out of our league. I mean, she was very pretty. We were two nerds.
Yeah.
I mean, for God's sake, we were playing gin rummy on a Saturday morning. But it was so funny. I mean, we play forever and we keep track of points, and I really do. I love that. I mean, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's funny because after high school, he went to UCSD too for like a year, same as me. And then I never saw him again and lost track. And
That's
I
it.
didn't,
Never saw Kathy again.
No, never saw Kathy. And I'm sure she's married to some super rich tycoon somewhere. Either that or she's a housewife somewhere.
All right. I better bleep out her last name then, just in case.
Bleep out her last name. But it's so funny because every time someone talks about Jim Rummy, all I can think of is, we used to do that just to see her. What a waste of time.
No, I don't know.
We probably should have been
depends on your
focusing
perspective.
more on the Gin Rummy, right?
Yeah, you'd be a champion now.
Yeah,
you make
I'd be
a
a
living at it.
champion
All right, thanks for listening.
Good night.